My brother. Ken was the third of 4 children born to Sydney and Lillian Knight. There were gaps of 7 and 9 years between him and our older sisters, Pat and Barbara, but only 22 months between him and myself, his younger sister, so we were close playmates in our formative years. Apart from 2 very brief spells away and his time at college, Ken lived his entire life in the family home in Greenfield Avenue and was always very proud to tell folk that his father helped build it. Ken was a keen cub, scout and member of Young Farmers, and from an early age wanted to be a farmer. At the age of 14, he became very ill with what was known in those days as sleeping sickness, encephalitis, with no known cure. He wasn't expected to see his 15th birthday. During his stay in the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery in London, our parents were offered the chance for him to be a guinea pig with an experimental drug. It saved his life, but the illness left its mark. He was unable to complete his education and subsequently was registered disabled. Once sufficiently recovered, Ken had 2 attempts at farm work, but couldn't cope with the physical stamina demanded of him. This was followed by a stint of factory work, but he couldn't stand being cooped up. In 1962, he was given the opportunity to attend the Queen Elizabeth College for the Disabled at Leatherhead, now disbanded, to study horticulture. He never looked back. This training enabled him to procure work with Kingston Parks and Gardens. In 1965, he was offered the job of lockkeeper at Teddington Lock, with special responsibility for their flower beds, much admired by the general public. He'd found his niche. He worked there for the next 37.5 years, loving the freedom of the open air, the interaction with the boating community, who would throw him innumerable cans of beer, and taking care of the flower beds. For some years he had his own boat moored there. His work included nights, and he would arrive at the lock armed with eggs, bacon, sausage, beans, etc., for which he had shopped that morning. 2 of his nephews, Andrew and Tim, when on holiday at their nan's, have happy memories of being allowed to cycle to work with their uncle and enjoying a fry-up in the middle of the night. During Ken's tenure at the Lock, the 500th anniversary of the foundation of Richmond was marked by an exhibition of portraits. These were of people whose lives were connected with the London borough of Richmond-upon-Thames, where the Lock is situated, and were taken by nationally acclaimed photographer Anne-Catherine Purkis. They were exhibited at Orleans House Gallery, Twickenham, and a second series of portraits were on display in the same place 10 years later, after Ken's retirement. We are so grateful that Anne has allowed us to use these today. Ken thrived on the routine and discipline of work, so the changes that retirement brought to his life were not easy. He was good at his work, but not good at taking care of himself, and missed our mum's guiding hand. But he was very knowledgeable and had many interests to keep him occupied. The battlefields of World War I, where 2 of our uncles died, the Rare Breed Survival Trust, shire horses, horse brasses and cowbells, coins, stamps. He was an avid collector. He had a significant collection of miniature agricultural toys that Britons produced during his lifetime, all in pristine condition in their boxes. It was a special treat for his nephews to be allowed to play with them when visiting. Hours were spent researching both sides of our family tree, with many visits to Somerset House in pursuit of this, all carefully recorded in longhand, not a computer in sight. And Ken's historical knowledge of the area in which he lived was phenomenal and sought after. He was a valued member of the Surbiton and District History Society, who speak of him as having a delightfully gruff exterior which concealed the teddy bear within. Ken was a faithful member of Emmanuel Church Tolworth throughout his life. As teenagers, we were in the church choir and members of Cypher, having grown up through children's church and Pathfinders. As an adult, Ken did what he did best, keeping the church garden shipshape for many years. As you will know, he was largely a man of few words, with measured speech, unless you engaged him on a subject close to his heart. But he had a sure, uncomplicated faith, finding strength in reading his Bible every day, and trusting in God, to whose loving care we now entrust him, my brother.